Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Of course, we are talking all matters BresBet Easter Cup. We saw 12 become 6 at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night, and I think it's safe to say that the stage is now set for a €1,000 to the winner competition. I am joined, as I was on Saturday night, by Dr. Simon. Simon, we know you from your foray in the media. You're very much involved in the Fergal O'Brien stable, but you're also very much involved with BresBet. You are a absolute dyed-in-the-wool doggy man. We were talking about Goldie's Perryman off air, a dog who won numerous races for you.
Yeah, we had a great time with him. We were lucky to get him. It was an odd story. We were offered him from Patrick Jansen's kennels and looked at him and thought, yeah, he could win a few races around Swindon. And then nearly didn't take him because we couldn't rename him Ravenswell Steve, which is what I really wanted to call him, which would have been one of the worst decisions of all time, I think. And he went on to, absolutely fantastic dog. Won, I think, 20 open races for us at 5 different tracks. Second in a Derby Plate, second in a Laurels, fourth in a Birmingham Cup. Absolute dream dog for a syndicate of chaps that some of which were just getting into greyhound racing, and it actually sort of blew their mind. They are in this for the long haul now. Fantastic journey with him.
You are one though. You're certainly one of the more sort of shining lights as regards greyhound racing and social media. You're a positive spin on it, great engagement, and it's great to see.
Yeah, I mean, I recognised for a long time that there's so much similarity between the horse racing world and the greyhound racing world. I feel sometimes that the greyhound racing world, certainly the UK, is under pressure more than it should be, more than it needs to be, given the similarities. And I think I was really keen to, like we always were with horses, for people to see what happens not just on the racetrack, but in the background, the care that's afforded to these dogs, the love, when not only when they're in training, but when they're retired. And I think that's massively important because, I said this a lot in other interviews, about horse racing, is that that's pretty naive to what went on in between race days. I turned up at a racetrack and saw horses looking in great condition, and then I'd see them again 3 weeks later thinking, what happened in between? And I think it's massively important for people to know more about what goes on, and, as I say, the levels of care, which are incredible. I just think that's if I could get any of that across with horses or dogs, I'd be delighted that we've done it, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. We said it there at the top of the show. Like by day a GP, by evening a social media warrior for greyhound racing and horse racing, and else on the weekends you're also represented for BresBet, who have sponsored this Easter Cup yet again. And I think they are. I'd say you're more than happy with the way this competition has turned out. We have a tremendous final to look forward to.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And so you want to see the best dogs on the biggest stage, and I think we have a final that you'd be delighted to have seen, and difficult to say that none of those dogs in that final can win. It's there's a strong favourite, but equally there are no dogs that I would say have got no chance of winning this one. So there's still all to play for, really.
It's what I would call an old-fashioned market in a sense where there's a hot favorite for someone to get stuck into if they wish, but on the flip side, anyone who wants to take him on, there's loads of value outside of the favourite. Let's get into it. Let's look at the two semi-finals. The opening semi-final was the 8th race at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. Of course, you were there, Simon. The first heat was, well, Clonard Duke was installed the favourite, but he did face a tricky enough draw on the fence. We knew he had to do things right. He was helped by Highview Splash missing the kick from trap 2. Deadly Jet also missed the kick from 3. And all of a sudden, Clonard Duke had that room to race. He edged off the inside. He's in about trap 3 into the opening corner. But more importantly, he's on the right side of his rivals, Ballymac Walt, and on the outside, Clonbrine Treat. He allowed Clonbrine Duke go round in front. Once doing so, you would have expected him to win in some style. But I know that there was a massive run in defeat by Undulation, a pitch that you alluded to on Saturday night. You were a huge fan of. I think there's more people in the fan club after her run on Saturday night. It was absolutely stunning run in defeat, but Clonard Duke was so impressive out front, and as a result, he is the warm favourite we're talking about. But it was a fine professional display from a truly proven performer.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, having come out of one, he shifted off quite a long way, and you're right that actually the other dogs gave him that chance to do that. With my Undulation hat on, I think I'm not sure it showed up in the race comments, but she did just get a little bump on that first bend, which pushed her out a little wide, and without that, who knows where she would have finished. But she came with that sort of late rattle that is I love to see. You know, the bit of the Golders Perryman sort of style. And wasn't lucky enough to get up there. And again, there were points where you thought Clonbrine Treaty would win that race as well, and swung off pretty wide on the fourth bend. But yeah, a really exciting race, the sort of race you want to see. Three well-deserving finalists there.
Yeah, into the back straight. It was Graham Holland first and second, of course. He's not a bad
Yeah.
man with a greyhound at this stage. I suppose he's proven himself. Clonard Duke was setting a strong gallop. Off the second bend, you're thinking, how is Clonard Duke 2-1? You know, it seemed also obvious. Oh, he was in the inside of all his rivals. He got to the front. He's going to win as he wants here. And then all of a sudden, Clonbrine Treaty arrives with that, trademark back straight pace. We saw it in last year's Ledger. We saw it in last year's Kirby Memorial. He has yet to really produce his very best at Shelbourne Park. But even though he's beaten the other night into third, I thought this was a hell of a run by Clonbrine Treaty. The pace he has down the back straight is pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that completely. My instinct, just looking back at his sort of previous races, is that Limerick is his place, but that sort of run that you saw at Shelbourne had things just panned out slightly differently. That back straight pace, you say, was incredible. And again, I wouldn't be writing him off. And I think we've got him at 8-1 at the moment. That's
huge. I promise you, he will not be 8-1 the night. No. There's no possible way he could be 8-1 the night.
Yeah. I mean, and that wouldn't surprise me to say it's now, we're trying to work out how that draw has played into the hands of the six, the six participants, and whether it means we get a clearer run than the semi-finals, or whether we've got a bit of trouble to ride before we get there. But I mean, I'd say I agree. I think there'll be plenty of supporters at that price.
Yeah, it's easy to forget when you actually look at the result in this bare bones of Clonard Duke, middle, early pace, undulation, challenge 3/4, strong finish, Clonbrine Treaty, middle, challenged run in. He hit the front between the last two bends.
Yeah.
He went 3 parts of a length in front, and for all the world, it looked like maybe tonight's the night he's going to win here at Shelbourne Park. Track was probably a little bit better than it had been the previous 2 weeks in terms of just conditions were just that little bit more sprightly. But Clonard Duke is nothing if not gallant. He got back up the inside when Clonbrine Treaty swung wide. The door did open. Now, Undulation had already done serious work to get there. She had to pass Highview Splash at the third bend. She had mastered Ballymac Walt, and when they did swing wide, all of a sudden there was this gap up the inside, up the middle, and she started charging. You think to yourself, for a stride or two, she's going to get there, but it's easier to forget. Like, Clonard Duke is immensely strong himself. 550 yards really is his trip, and he stuck his neck out, and it was important because he did hold on by a neck in 29.53. But I think on the evidence of Saturday night, it's hard not to suggest that the best 3 dogs went through.
Oh, I agree. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's entirely fair. 3 very deserving qualifiers, all of which at various times in that race you thought, perhaps not Undulation till the very end, but thought they're going to win this. But 3 great performances to get through to the final, and I agree. I thought the best 3 dogs got through.
Yeah, it was one of a strange race in the sense where at one point I was certain Clonard Duke was going to win. At another point I was certain Clonbrine Treaty was going to win. And then off the last bend, I'm thinking Undulation's going to win. As it was, it finished Clonard Duke, Undulation and Clonbrine Treaty. 29.53, a great way to make their way into the final of the BresBet Easter Cup. And then to the second semi-final. And while it wasn't all that easy for Glenmire Martha, she had to work hard to get to the front. She took a bump on the opening corner, but it was far more straightforward thereafter than the opening heat. Once she did lead into the back straight, she never really looked in danger. Uri, being one of the sponsors reps, was thrown to Droopy's Fidget. I know she's one of the big losers in the book. She ran well to qualify in third, but this was also another step forward for Boyle Sports Bob. He's been showing plenty of pace in recent outings. He just hasn't quite got his starting together, but I think he definitely showed his engine on Saturday night. A big run from him in second, but Glengar Martha, this was the type of form she showed in the early rounds of the Gold Cup and in pockets last year. She's a special lady on the night, and in the end she was a very deserving winner, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, as you say, to ride round the sort of bend 1 and 2 and to get in front at that point, I thought that was an achievement. And then just to go clear and stay clear, I thought that was a really impressive performance. I have to be honest, having spent more time looking at UK racing than I do the Irish, not a bitch that I was massively aware of. And then having looked through a back form, you think, wow, this was a heck of a performer.
there's one run in particular. I think it was in the opening round of the Derby. She's returned 28-1 or something like that. But in behind her, like, she had Balnabola Ed and 2 or 3 of the best dogs in training. And that night she just took off, away and gone. Never saw her.
Yeah, Yeah, and you can see, having seen the way she ran in the semi-final, I can believe that, because once she's gone, she's gone. And there doesn't seem to be any sort of deficit in stamina and things. They weren't getting closer to her. So yeah, I thought that was a really impressive performance. I did manage to see her after the race as well. She's a beautiful looking thing.
Yeah.
No, I think she was once she'd hit the front on bend two, yeah, brilliant performance.
Owned by one of your own compatriots, William Wood, an absolute thorough enthusiast. He loves this lady, and he has every right. I'm sure down the line they will look to breed her. Just in hindsight, like hindsight is 2020, but I think most people tipped up. You know, the two heat winners, Clona Duke was on the right side of his rivals. Glengar Martha, I predicted last week she could either go off even money or she could be 5-2, and as well, she sort of settled on 9-4. It was clear from last week that she was showing signs of returning to that very best form. And the other evening, there wasn't a big amount of early speed in the race. Like we saw Hookham taking a flyer from trap 3, but he just struggles to get the wheels going into the opening corner. He couldn't hold his pitch. Beeper's Lariat went up fast, but when Glengar Martha cut him off, he sort of was in a position where he just couldn't quite get going. He had the strong runners on his outside. Sonia and Grande, it didn't happen for him on the outside. And in the end, Glengar Martha, the 9-4, again, hindsight is 2020, but it looks a very generous price the way she won, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more, really. And we've got Carl has priced her up at 6-1 for the final. And you know, if there's a similar break, that again might look very big. Again, the pace angle at the start might be very different next week. But yeah, you know, who's to say? I mean, that was a serious performance, I thought, going into the back straight. And I find it difficult to put anybody off. It's just working out how the race is going to be run.
Yeah, Boyle Sports Bob in second spot. I think you'll be seeing a bit of him.
Yeah,
Paul Hennessy was over in Toaster last week, trialed 3 or 4 dogs. There's talk of a potential maiden Derby challenge for them and into the English Derby. Boyle Sports Bob, you would imagine, is one of his English Derby hopes, if not his English Derby hope, his main one. Droopy's Fidget back in third. Obviously, you would have seen her in the UK.
Yeah.
She won the Steel City puppy Derby last year around Sheffield. High class performer. She's a full sister, litter sister to the sensationally fast Droopy's Clue. And you can see those pockets of pace. If she gets things right in the final from an ideal draw, she could be a player.
Yeah, I mean, again, having thought about the race more once we've done the final draw and the auction fees have worn off, you wonder whether if there is a slight drift from to the right from Clona Duke, does that open up a seam for Droopy's Fidget just to hug that rail the whole way around? And that's, yeah, again, I don't think you could be surprised if that's the way it played out. Again, one of the bigger price runners in the final, but there is a way you can see this race being run that would suit. And so, again, difficult. Again, it is all going to be about how we break on the day and what channels they take in those early stages, I think.
Increasingly, I've always been, one of those people that, like yourself, I love the strong runner, the dog that comes off the back. But you see these major finals these days, and it increasingly comes down to the first 5 yards. It's true. You need to come away race. You need to get your line, and then you need to be able to get into that opening corner with relative ease. Let's look at the final and see what needs to happen. Obviously, Droopy's Fidget in 1. Clona Duke is in trap 2. He'll be a warm favourite. Undulation in 3. Boyle Sports Bob in 4. Glengar Martha 5 and Clonbrine Treaty in 6. It's one of those rare finals, Simon. It's great to see it. 2 insides, 2 middles, 2 wides. It's why the system was set up the way it was. Now that we are guarding seeding, so you have an equal spread across, we should see this more and more often, given the fact that middle seeds are in their line, they're in their lane, the wide seeds are in their lane, and here we are. Like, there's no complaints. As you said, the first thing you said to me when I saw you after the draw was, I don't think anyone can complain. Now, the only person maybe slight gripe will be Undulation, because Clona Duke may edge off, but in theory, every single dog has his life here.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like as we said at the time, my view on that bit hasn't changed. I think, as I say, you're quite right. Undulation might have preferred to be in 4, but other than that, I mean, it's we've got what we wanted. You say 2 railers, 2 mids, 2 wides, and it is then you say about how they break and whether there's any bumping and boring which adversely affects some position, but it's set up to be an absolute barnstormer of a final.
Yeah, absolutely. An absolute barnstormer, as you say. We are talking 25,000 euros a winner, but it's more about prestige. Like, this is the oldest competition on the Greyhound calendar in Ireland. It's like some of my greatest memories as a kid were the Easter Cup. I remember watching Farlow Melody beating the likes of Daring Lance in the Easter Cup before he went over to Wimbledon and won the English Derby. I don't know if you're old enough to remember, so we didn't get into that, but like, that's back in 1992. But some of the dogs that have won this competition through the years, it's just a special, special stake. And we're now looking at a final. And as I said at the top of the show, like, it's every one of these would be a worthy winner. It's a tremendous final. We spoke of the two semi-finals, and it's hard not to say that the best six didn't get through the way they performed the other evening. Boydsport's Bob did it from off the pace to qualify in second. Glengar Martha got out front. Undulation ran from off the pace. Clonagh did everything he needed to do. He's proven he's won two select stakes, one on either side of the pond. He's won a juvenile derby, an English derby finalist last year. Duppy's Fidget. She's proven across the water since she's come to Ireland. She's been fantastic without perhaps showing her very, very best form. And I suppose that's what they're clinging on to, with the hope that she might come away running. We've skirted around the subject somewhat. We've mentioned two or three of the dogs. Clonagh, he is the favourite though.
Yeah, we've got. Yeah, I bow to, as I said on Saturday, I bow to my trading team in this respect with, Carl Perry, who's got a massive amount of experience in ground racing. He made Clonagh the even money favourites, 3-1 Undulation, and 6-1 Glengar Martha. But we've then got two of them at 8-1, and Motorsports Bob, the outsider, at 10s, which is still, again, you can make a case for that being great value too. But I'm a bit like you, say last year. I tried to oppose Saul's Rex, and after 5 yards, it was obvious that was pretty futile. We might be in the same position again. Let's be honest. We've got a Graham Holland dog that if he traps and he's out and clear, he's going to take some catching. But equally, I think, as you said earlier on, Ian, and there is value if you want to oppose that favourite, because there are 5 seriously talented dogs with good cases to be made for them who are going to be chasing hard.
Oh, this market just screams like, when I was growing up in the 80s, 90s, you'd see the last race in the card. And the racing manager in Shelbourne Park was a fellow called Paddy Ryan, and he was unbelievable at setting up a card like this. And you'd have the last race be over 575 yards. It'd be a dog at even money, and he could go 3-4 to 1 bar. And it meant that the layers had a chance to take one on, but the punters also had a chance to take one on at a short price. But if you didn't fancy him, like, we're talking Clonbrine Treaty, who could well be named Greyhound of the Year in 2 weeks' time. Like, he's an 8-1 chance from an ideal draw on 6. Boydsport's Bob is a dog who I potentially think is as fast as any dog in the country. He's 10-1 outsider of the party. Undulation 3-1. You're definitely showing your favoritism there. I think she might be around 7-2 mark all week, but 3-1, like, it's perfectly fair. Clonagh is even money. Again, I can see why he's even money. I could see him. I sort of had him more into the 5-4, 11-8. But you're right. On the big night, where they often come for the short price one, he could be a shade of odds on. He could be 10-11. Likewise, he could be 6-4, 15-8. You know what I mean? 7-4. And Truppy's Fidget, she is the one that you have some liabilities on. She's got a great draw. She's absolutely guaranteed a solo into the opening corner. It's just a case of whether she can come away racing. If she does, again, 8-1 is a huge, huge price. A cracking final. We have to get you to nail your colours to the mast. I know you're looking through rose-tinted glasses at Undulation in the middle there at 3-1, but Clonagh is potentially the one to beat. But what way were you going to side, Simon?
Yeah, I'm not going to change my mind. I spent a bit of more time thinking about the race after Saturday. If Undulation, I just feel that she's running into a great seam of form. Could be said for all of them, in fairness, but the way she ran down without that bump, I am wary that she might have to get through some traffic to get there. But I'm going to stick with where we were on Saturday and just say I'm very hopeful that Undulation will do it.
Yeah, she was off for 6 months. She returned in the opening round of the Easter Cup. She won her second round heat. Last week was her first defeat in, I suppose, nearly 7 months. And yet, I think it was safe to say it was probably one of her best ever performances. An incredible run in defeat, no question about it. She definitely did lose just that chance on the opening corner. She was forced to check across heels. There was no room there, and the ground she made up was pretty brilliant. Carl will be there on Saturday night, with the sponsors BresBet. He'll be there presenting the trophy. You believe it'll be Undulation. Looking at the final, I think Clonagh is a worthy favourite, but at even money, I'll be leaving him alone. I would definitely be tempted, just at the prices, to Dutch up Boydsport's Bob and Clonbrine Treaty. 10-1 and 8-1, about two of the fastest greyhounds on the planet. That'll do me. Again, just covering all bases. I think Clonadduke is probably the one to beat, but at even money, just that smidge on the short side for me. And but that's the beauty of greyhound racing. Some will think even money's perfectly fair. Others will go, well, I'll look elsewhere. And yeah, as I said, some really talented dogs there at bigger prices. Simon, we spoke before we let you go. The white fridge behind is a hint, although most fridges are white. The fact that it's Smeg suggests you have a few quid. But you're a Leeds United supporter. It's Jersey night at Shelbourne Park, and indeed every track in Ireland on Saturday night. It's part of the Dylan Quirk Foundation. Dylan was a very, very talented young hurler that sadly passed away a couple of years ago in Ireland. And every person that brings or wears a jersey to the dogs on Saturday night will doing their part to give some generous funds to a very worthwhile foundation. Will you be sending Carlin? Is he a Sheffield United or a Sheffield Wednesday supporter?
He's a Sheffield Wednesday supporter. I don't know whether he'll be wearing his shirt. I may send him with a scarf. I mean, just with the doctor hat on, though, the foundation and the premise behind it is fantastic. To be able to identify budding sportsmen with underlying cardiac disorders, which would not be apparent until the point where they are very apparent in tragic circumstance. Often, hearing the stories, if you find one or two in a year, you've saved potentially lives of very talented and promising sportsmen. That's a brilliant thing, and so fully behind that concept. That's fantastic.
And this goes all the way down to children of 12 and 13 years of age, that they're all going to be tested as part of this. And as you say, if it does indicate any underlying problems, it's life changing, not just for the person involved, but for their families.
Absolutely. These are by definition conditions which do not manifest themselves until times of extreme stress. So day-to-day life, you are fine. And by definition, when people have echocardiograms and look at the structure of the heart and things, they are surprised to find out that there's anything wrong, because life has been normal until that point. But that is the point: is that that you hit there is a point where things change markedly, and you can identify that, have remedial treatment, often now which is not invasive or not nearly as invasive as it used to be, and that's all you need to do. And it's say that the concept and the charity, fair play to them. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I find it fascinating that it's often the ultra fit that are the people that are affected by this. I suppose it's because they're able to push themselves harder. I don't know the science behind it. You being a GP, you'd have far more idea than I would.
Yeah, essentially that would be it. In general, your heart is not functioning at 100% of its capacity, and for 70, 80, 90%, and things that just us mere mortals do, probably makes no difference if you've got a small hole there or abnormal circulation there. But actually, when you are going to the levels which elite sports people do, then actually it does make a difference. And as I say, it's the warning signs that are often not there. It is from absolute what seems like normality to collapse, and that's tragic, because it is just not explainable unless you've got programs like this which will find it and actually allow you to move on and get the right treatment and then go back to where you were, which is from a medical point of view is incredible. And the techniques and cardiac surgery and things these days are just brilliant. I say minimal sort of time in a hospital, and for what you get from it, it's incredible.
You really were the perfect guest to have on this morning as we speak about it. Remember, stick your jerseys on. Proud dub. You'll be watching via the laptop on Saturday night with your Leeds jersey on, marching on together. You left it late on Monday night. Don't leave it as late now, or you could have your own heart problems.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like having been a Leeds fan for 40 odd years, I'm used to disappointment, but it's still hard to watch these sort of things. It's last night was painful. Friday night was pretty painful. We're in for it's going to be a rocky ride till the end of the season, but I'm keeping my fingers firmly crossed.
Well, after this discussion, I have to say goodbye to Dr. Simon. It's not just Simon now. It's definitely Dr. Simon. Thank you for putting that so eloquently, telling us what it's all about. That's it from this part of the show, we'll be back in a few minutes' time with our look at the Conor Kirby Memorial second round from Limerick. But Simon, thanks again. He's wearing his undulation hat on Saturday night as part of BresBet. As I said, I'll be going for the likes of Clonbrine Treaty and Boyle Sports Bob at those prices. But it's a cracking final, no question about it. Simon, my thanks again. And we look forward to meeting Carl and the boys on Saturday night.
Cheers. See you then.
And so to part two of Talking Dogs on the Monday. As you can see, I'm joined by the Cheshire Cat. We were just talking about the Dylan Quirk Foundation with Dr. Simon Serra. I was showing the Dublin colours. I'll let you in the secret. This is an 11-year-old's Dublin jersey, so it ain't fitting me, but we'll try and unearth some sort of jersey for the weekend. How about yourself? Will you be spouting your County Louth colours? You're that north of Dublin, you must be County Louth, eh?
I'm actually very, very close to Meath. Literally like 2 minutes in the car would get me to Meath, and my mom's a Meath woman. But no, I'll be definitely donning the Dublin colours. I have about 6 jerseys from down through the years. I kept them all. So I'll dig out an old one. And
well, vintage is cool. You know yourself, Sarah. Cool. Yeah, I'm actually at that stage where my wardrobe is nearly that old. We're nearly calling it vintage. Let's talk about some that aren't quite vintage. These are very young crop because the Conor Kirby Memorial continued at Limerick on Saturday night, Sarah. There were shocks, but there were brilliant performances, and it just continues to be a most intriguing competition. And the race for the €80,000 is still well and truly on.
Yeah, it is. It's a brilliant competition, isn't it? Everyone gets behind this, like, because they're so excited. The prize money obviously is outstanding, as we all know, but it's just the future stars that we're looking at to see what they're going to go ahead and, race in the coming months and the coming years. But yeah, look, it was sad to see some of the big names go out, Ian, that we will touch on. But most impressive, which we'll touch on as well, I thought was Romeo Kingpin. I thought he was excellent. He really caught the eye. But if tremendous night. I hopefully get down to it at some stage. I haven't been able to. I was in Cork on Saturday and Shelbourne the Saturday before, so who knows? I might get down for the final, but it's a cracking competition.
Yeah, it really is. Let's get into it. You mentioned Romeo Kingpin, one of the impressive winners. The two on the clock were Epic Chick, 28 seconds, and Stone Park King, 28:03. Both very, very impressive. Both doing it from the front in the early yards, and I suppose that's the place to be in Limerick. We know these young dogs that there is signs of inexperience, but you throw in the inexperience around Limerick, and it sort of adds to it. And hence we saw plenty of not dogs just not knowing their racing line, and as a result, dogs getting squeezed up and bumps. There wasn't too much bad traffic or bad problems. It was just a combination of just bumping dogs that just couldn't get their run, and it just goes to show that a clear passage is half the battle in greyhound racing. Let's look at the opening heat, for instance. Rushy Meadows was one of the more impressive winners in the opening round. She was 2-1 joint favourite alongside the early pace Knockeen Dazzler, and while she went up strongly, it looked like she might have just got the corner. She found that traffic on the bend, and all of a sudden Knockeen Dazzler on the outside, showing his early speed, getting around in front. Ironically, bred by Brenda Matthews, who trains Rushy Meadows, and Knockeen Dazzler for the second week running. His early speed proving crucial. Prince Nassim second, and Fantasy Alex back in third. But Knockeen Dazzler, he's just sneaking his way through nice and quietly, Sarah, just doing everything right. 28:48 last week, 28:54 on Saturday night. And given his fact that he's a wide seed and he has lovely early speed, he could tiptoe through another round or two.
He could, and that's what it's all about. It doesn't really matter, just dogs, breaking track records in 28 seconds. That doesn't really matter. We all know that you just want to plug through and qualify. He won a final in Tralee, didn't he, last year, I think. So look, he's a bit of experience on his card, which is crucial coming down, as you mentioned, with the more inexperienced dogs in this and all the bumping and finding your line and stuff like that. Experience is crucial. Prince Nassim, fair play to Sean Conway. Like, he's a terrific young trainer. I love to see these young guys coming through, but like Kim Bergen as well, obviously he's connected with Dolores Root, so fair play to them. They'd be buzzing from that. Like, I did talk to Kim and Shelbourne on a Saturday night, and she loves her dog, so fair play to him. And Sean as well, he's a nice kennel dogs. I think he has 40 or 50 dogs, I think, in training at this point, Sean Conway. So yeah, it's great to see some of the smaller trainers getting through as well, Ian. But yeah, Knockeen Dazzler, I think it'll just keep plugging through. A perfect draw, stays as a lion, lovely early pace, and I definitely will see more of him in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, I suspect the term smaller trainer won't be used for Sean Conway for much
Yeah.
longer. Growing in size, I've spoken to a couple of people down in his operation. I said it's very impressive, and I was told that one of his kennel stars was looking like a little ball of muscle. A lot of other news the other night by Barry Call told me he'd been down there picking up a pup and said, God, he said he looks he's ready to race. But this Prince Nassim is very strong. They're going to have some serious sport with him going forward. While 525 yards may be a bit sharp for him, he is definitely a greyhound that will win races over 550, 575, 600 yards. And I look forward to seeing how his career develops. Fantasy Alex back in third for Adam Dunford, another man with a very, very bright future. On to Heat 2 in the Conlanny Kirby Memorial. And here we saw Radical Harry landing the spoils. Obviously, Ballymacdanica was the favourite here. She was only even money. Like I thought, considering she did 27.83 in the opening round, she'd be considerably shorter. Yeah. But Sarah, particularly for young dogs, it's very hard to follow up a run like the 27.83. Like, that was so good that it's so hard to back it up. You have to take in so much out of themselves. And while she did come away reasonably well, she was always struggling for room into the opening corner, which was always perhaps likely to happen with Karakino in 4, expected to edge inwards, but just didn't happen for Radical Harry. Got up her inside, she got squeezed out, she got crowded in the corner, and then all of a sudden, from being favourite to win the Kirby, from doing the track record, from looking a superstar in the making, and she does remain a superstar in the making, she's out of the competition. In contrast, Radical Harry, who was having just his third start, who had finished 9.5 lengths behind Ballymacdanica in the previous round, he gets loose at the head of affairs. He did 28.18 on debut. He's after being beaten in 27.83 last week, clocking 28.49. Just goes to show the consistency. He does 28.50 on Saturday night. He's very lightly raced. He's open to all sorts of improvement. It was a hell of a run from a dog with such little experience.
Yeah, it was. It was outstanding. Look, it was sad to see Ballymacdanica go out. I'm sure some bookmakers will be happy with the outright book. But look, you don't like to see that happen. But just goes to show you how simple it is that you can be on top of your game one week and then you're knocked out the week later. Like, there's just no room for error in a competition like this, because we still don't know what a lot of these actually are capable of doing, because they're so young and they're learning as they go along. But Radical Harry, I thought, was excellent. Like, was kind of pulling clear nearly at the end as well, but by 3 or 4 lengths for Thomas O'Donovan. I'm pretty sure he bred this himself as well. I think didn't he? It's a homebred. So yeah, that's even a nicer touch as well. Like, but yeah, I thought it was an excellent performance, and I thought in good time was big odds as well. Ran a very good race for Brendan Monsell. For the Working Together syndicate, but he
has that bit of experience in good time, but was prominent for much of the way in the first round behind Rushy Meadows, and in the end just conceded a little bit of ground in the latter stages. Perhaps not as strong as some of his rivals, but I agree with you. I thought it ran well, 33-1. Like, it certainly ran very well. And Balnabola Jim, he's a big 90-pounder, he has raced at 93, believe it or not.
Massive.
He's more like a racehorse than he is the Greyhound. Yeah, but no, ran very well in the feed also. Karakino didn't happen for him. We know how exciting he is. Tarsna Masai, another dog with unlimited potential, but again, just didn't happen for him. As it was, Radical Hero in good time and Balnabola Jim progressing. It is terrible news for some people, that result. If Ballymacdanica goes to the Puppy Oaks in Shelbourne Park on Saturday night, it could be terrible for some of the people taking her on.
Saturday,
because she wouldn't have been able to take part if she'd got through. All of a sudden, it's on the table. I just wouldn't be surprised if she turned up in Shelbourne Park and becomes a leading contender for the Puppy Oaks. On to Heat 3, Romeo Kingpin was racing from the fence, and that's where he wanted to be. 28-24, showed great early speed to get up the inside on the opening corner, and thereafter it was immaterial. There was traffic in behind. Merit Inclusion found himself on the inside of his remaining rivals. He moved off, found himself in second, but he'd given away 4 or 5 lengths, and all of a sudden Romeo Kingpin is gone 7 lengths, 28-24. We know he's capable of that. He was a very impressive winner of the Bart Leahy Memorial down at Cork at the back end of last year. He's a dog with lots of pace. His issue has often been his trapping ability, but seems to be just sharpening up that little bit more. Sarah, 4:20, 16 seconds to the third bend. You were very taken by him.
Yeah, I was. Look, I'm a huge fan of Graham Holland. I think he's a terrific kennel, and we all know his dogs sort of had a break early in the year. So I think you're going to see his dogs really getting stronger and stronger as the months go by. I thought Kingpin was he just caught my eye. There was just something about him. I've been watching him for a while. Again, he's a dog that actually does have a lot of experience coming into this Kirby. I've seen him running in Shelbourne. I've seen him running down in Cork. Cork. Do you know what I mean? He has a nice few races on his card. He was doing 28:40s, and in Clonmel he was doing 16:23. So we all knew he was going to be a star. But as you say, he is getting that little bit better at the traps. He ran his line perfect. I thought the draw for him was perfect. And with the trouble and all in behind, if he was maybe out in 4 or 5, it wouldn't have gone that way for him, perhaps. But 28:24, 5-4. Thought he ran brilliant. 7 lengths, pulling away. You know what I mean? So, what price is he actually now on the outright? I must check. I think
he's not a big price.
8-1.
Yeah, he's not a big price. I was going to say, Merritt's inclusion was second. He's still green as grass. Like he's doing silly things. He's moving off. He's running a middle line at parts and then back in, and he's showing pockets of pace. I still think there's oodles of improvement from him. I think he's a very promising young dog. Coulivanny Poppy was back in third. Just hasn't happened for her in terms of getting clear passage in Limerick thus far, but she is capable of a fast start, as we saw in one of the rounds down in Newbridge in the Brownstown Tango 1 race. She'll improve for that. The 3 we lost there, Hanover Sky, looked so promising the opening round. Balnabola Bill looks a really talented type, a full brother to Balnabola Ed, and Norris Ben, a strong runner on the outside. Again, the opening Ben traffic paid sort of ended their hopes. Let's get on to Heat 4, where I was fancying Droopy's Metaphor a bit myself, but Epic Chick was exactly that. She was epic. She showed great speed up the outside. She's always been very highly thought of. She produced a stunning run down at Waterford in debut. She has some unbelievable trial form. She's starting to put it together now, Sarah, isn't she? She's starting to look a real star. She's very similar to their English Oaks winner. Oh, good bitch. What was her name? Billy's Diva. She's similar in style. She has a bit of everything. She's good early speed. She's good down the back. She's strong. This was just a brilliant performance. 15.99 to the third bend. You can't go wrong there.
No, there's a lot to like about her, isn't there? She ticks a lot of boxes. Savage clock, and she kind of had to dig deep, didn't she? Really, it wasn't straightforward enough for her. Winning by 4 lengths to Scooby Pacemaker, who's a very, very good bitch as well. But that epic
dog, he's a dog. Yeah.
That Epic Diva as well. Like, I remember when she do a massive run in her first ever race in
Waterford.
Was Waterford, yeah. But that was like August or something. So we haven't really seen a whole lot of her. I know she ran a few races in Shelbourne then, but then we haven't seen her since October and November until now. So look, keeping her away and keeping her safe was the key if you want to win the Kirby 80,000 euros. But
it has all the hallmarks. Like you see, she won in the opening round of the Puppy Oaks and then wasn't seen. She obviously broke in season, and that was her, and that could have crowned her. She'd come back a stronger, strengthened bitch and just more mature in herself. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that. And she's right up there disputing favoritism, Sarah.
Yeah, she is. Well, she's 6-1 now. That Droopy's Metaphor is the Droopy's Metaphor, Epic Chick, and Bull Falcon are all sharing favoritism at Boyle Sports at 6-1. So look, it's a competitive betting market, but there must be a lot of anti-post bets or something on Droopy's Metaphor for him to go that price, is there? Or
no, he has it. He was so good in the opening round. He's a special dog. He missed the kick the other night. It was only his third start, but I know that they probably have backed him anti-post, but I think he's pretty special. I think
his first round performance was pretty good.
Yeah, I think if he finds his trapping boots, they'll all have to go to beat him. Scooby Pacemaker, as we said, we've seen a bit of him. It's hard to believe it was only his 13th start. I've seen him a load of times in Shelbourne Park. I suppose the majority of his races have been in Shelbourne. He loves when he's on the fence, and that was the key to him the other night. And the 3 that went out, May Bezoda, Ballydoyle Baby, and Romeo Jackson. They'll have other days, hopefully. But I think the right 3 went through. There were certainly the 3 that were signified on top of the card, and they were the 3 at the top of the betting market. So the right 3 went through. But Epic Chick 3-1 in hindsight. Wow, that's a big price. Let's get on to Heat 5, where Fate Point Sean was obviously an easy winner. Never looked otherwise, didn't it, Sarah? He's only 12 lengths off the pace down the back straight. The Bull Falcon is beaten ahead. He's only 14 lengths off the pace down the back straight. This was what I would call a strange contest. Serene Highway set a strong gallop, but whether he just faded very badly or whether he cramped, but the wheels came off around the bottom 2 bends, and he sort of held up the pack in behind. And Fashion Model, they have to feel feel for like the connections. They were so unlucky with Mustang Fever in the opening round. They got badly fought at the third bend when looking certain to go fast, and then Fashion Model, their other challenger, getting knocked out in not similar circumstances, but again the third bend being the problem. She looked in a perfect position to strike when she was making her move, but she ran at the back of dogs. In contrast, Fate Point Sean, the Bull Falcon, had a clear passage and a clear look at what was in front of them. They stepped around the traffic, came through to land the spoils. Fate Point Sean by a head in 28.94, did 28.47 in the opening round, and I think it's safe to say he'll be doing a 28.20 run around Limerick sooner rather than later. And the Bull Falcon is obviously extremely fast, came in for floods of support for both this competition, for the Juvenile Classic, for English Derby, Irish Derby. They think the world of him. He's very, very strong. It's just a case of whether he has the early speed. We'll find out in time, but that's the way they finished. Fate Point Sean, the Bull Falcon. Strange contest.
Yeah, it was. But you know what I like about these dogs is they're clever enough, and you know, yeah, they had to work hard for it, but they have the pace and the talent to do so. A lot of dogs wouldn't be able to make up that ground, but they're also like they're nearly avoiding the trouble. Do you know what I mean? They're using their heads, if that makes sense. Like Fate Point Sean, like you'd want to see him come out through the bars some evening to see what he can really do, because 28.94 is still a good clock, but coming from behind for
and as you say, but he's a 280 in Clonmel, which suggests he can do it.
Yeah. No, we probably will. Like, look, I remember that was back in October, November. He was running in Clonmel. Like, again, another one we haven't seen that much of. They're wrapping them in cotton wool and keeping them for this competition. So they're going to progress as the weeks go by. He won the first round in 28.47, didn't he? With a 129 sectional. So look, there's more to come from that. Goes without saying. And I really like the Bold Falcon for young trainer Jack Keneally. I was seeing this dog in was it Tralee? I think I seen him in. Now he didn't win or anything like that, but he was 4-6 favourite. I think it was in the opening round of the juvenile. I think it was where Baby Bocco won it. But
it was the second round, or it would have been the second round you saw him. The opening round, he took off. He took off in the opening round to 28.13.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but look, I really like that dog. I'd probably pick the Bull Falcon over Fate Point Sean if I had to pick one. I'd go with the Bull Falcon. I think he's got a massive future. And sad to see Romeo Steele go out as well after facing trouble at the first bend, because that's a dog that I thought a lot of as well for Graham Holland. But yeah, another excellent performance. It's only a head in between them. You'd like to think that both of them would stay further as well, or definitely the Bull Falcon would stay further anyway.
Oh, the Bull Falcon looks every inch a 600-yard Greyhound. Yeah. I feared that the problem is going to be going to the open corner with the Bull Falcon, but there's definitely targets for him. They've connections by what way they've backed him suggest that the English Derby and Irish Derby are very much on their radar. Moving on to Heat 6, our cracker was a cracking winner. This fellow turned second to Feshty's Mo. He's sort of challenging into the opening corner. Feshty's Mo for the second week running, and not just the second week running, but the second week running in the Kirby, showed great early speed up the inside, shot to the front on the bend, and looked certain to play a big part in the finish, but in the end, our cracker was just too strong. It wins in 28.26 from Feshty's Mo. Ballymac Patriot just hasn't quite happened for the Juvenile Classic winner down at Limerick yet. He's yet to get the start. He got squeezed pretty early the other evening into the opening corner, found himself in behind Greyhounds, but ran okay in third. He's only beaten ahead for second spot, and while he's doing 28.48 without any luck, that would suggest there's a 28.10, 28.20 in him. If it happens in the final, he could well win it.
Of course, yeah. Look, we all know what Ballymac Patriot is capable of. When winning the juvenile, he was excellent. But it just has to go their way. But look, they'll learn from this as well. There's no harm in them getting a bit of bashing and a bit of they'll learn from that. You know what I mean? And you'll find out more about them as well as the weeks go by. But our cracker, I remember we were talking about him when he reached the juvenile final, and when we were talking about this on Talking Dogs, we weren't really giving him much of a chance. Obviously Ballymac Patriot won it, but watching him on Saturday night winning by 3 lengths, 28.26, I knew he had that in him. I just didn't think it was going to be, I didn't think he'd beat Ballymac Patriot.
I think he's one of those, the type you want, a steady improver. I think he's definitely a better dog than he was in the Juvenile Classic. I think he's piecing it all together, and he's winning from Trap 5 the other night as an inside C, 28.26. You'd be delighted if you were involved, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course. Because you're going right, okay, he's already gotten to a big final down Tralee. He could potentially get to the Conn and Danny Kirby. There's a lot to be excited about him. And as we say, all you want to do is be plugging through week in, week out. Doesn't matter about the clocks. But he's a dog now I'd be definitely getting behind in the anti-post, because he's definitely double figures. I'm not sure what price he is. But I'd be putting my money on him.
He's not big double figures now, I'd say, is he? After that run, he couldn't be much bigger than 12 to 1 or so.
Look.
I see he raced at 68.
12, you're right.
Yeah, I see he raced at 68 pounds the other evening. That's like, he's a tiny little dog.
That's small. That's what Acadella was. Very small.
Feshti's Mo in second is 69 pounds the bitch. She's bigger than he is, but oh my God, he is an engine. No, our cracker, lots to like about him. Feshti's Mo again continues to truck on, and if you are one of the early pacers, you don't want to see Feshti's Mo up your inside, because you know exactly what she'll do. She'll go up fast and just challenge, and if you're looking for a clear passage, you just probably don't want Feshti's Mo up your inside. Ballymac Patriot, again, so much better to come from him. Romeo Falco completely fell out of traps, Sarah. His race was done after a stride. Colgan Whitney was facing a tricky draw. It was a big price to get involved. We'll need to sharpen up with boxes. And Glitzy Magic, did well to get through the opening round, but faced a very tough test on this situation. On to Heat 7 of the Con and Annie Kirby Memorial, where we saw another good winner in the form of Stone Park King. This was one of the standout performances, 28.03. This was basically the near perfect run. Flashed out, showed good early speed. The way he quickened up to increase his lead down the back straight over Ballymac Dapper and continued to increase his lead all the way home to win by 6 lengths. This was the performance of a dog that could well win another Kirby for the O'Dwyer family of Stone Park fame. Very, very fine display. Ballymac Dapper. This was one of the first times he's had a clear passage in recent times for a dog that really wants the inside. He's been in trap 4, trap 3, trap 5, trap 4. He's going to get the inside sooner rather than later, and there's a big run in him. I thought it was a fine run in defeat. Like, he's doing 28.45 in second. And I thought Phoenix Tyson battled on well to grab third. He had to work for it at the third bend to get there. Swords Hero, after impressing the opening round going out, so did Kyle Ton, Coco and Quarry Boy. But this was all about the winner, wasn't it? Stone Park King, different gravy, Sarah.
He is different gravy. Yeah, another superstar for Michael J. O'Donovan. I thought he was excellent, but as you mentioned, I really was impressed with the dogs that were placed as well. Like that Phoenix Tyson, he won that. He bet Valderrama in a final in Shelbourne there.
Go on, name the final.
It's the Fish Booker Swimwear 55 no-back graders.
That could be quite the tongue twister. Book your fishing and swim Booker. Isn't that right? Yeah.
That's it. It was a bit of I would say it was hard for you in commentary as well.
It's not if you're not mentioning it before the race and after the race. Yeah.
Just leave it out. Just call it the 525 final. No, he was very good for Ian Riley and that Ballymac Dapper, who we've spoken about on here a good bit as well, obviously, for Liam Dowling, because when he ran in the Kirby or the juvenile, Ballymac Patriot kind of overshadowed him a little bit, didn't he? Everyone kind of nearly forgets. But we'll see more of him for sure. As you say, ran brilliant, doing 28.45 in second. But yeah, Stone Park King was excellent, absolutely excellent. And what price is he in the outright? I'll have a quick look. He's 12 to 1. Yeah, so the value is nearly gone in a lot of these, you know what I mean?
I'm not sure the 12 to 1 is not value. God, if you'd said to me he was 6 to 1 joint favourite, I wouldn't have been surprised.
No, I mean, the value is gone on a lot of them now.
Oh, yeah. I suppose. You know what I mean? Yeah, I still think 12 to 1. It's only 3 more runs. I wouldn't be too worried about Stone Park King, maybe.
I'd rather be backing him at 12s than Epic Chick at 6.
At 6s, yeah. No, I think that makes sense. There are 3 spots between them, and I think this Stone Park King is definitely going the right way. You said it, Sarah. He's a good card before now, but this was another step. This was definitely another step, and who's to say there's not another half step ahead of him. On to the last of the 8 heats on Saturday night, and you got to mention last week Tom Fitz, friend of the show. Ocean Tesla, I said I liked her. She looks a real strong running type, and for much of the way it didn't look like she was going to play much of a part. She last into the opening corner, but a gap opened up along the fence and she charged up the inside to the third bend, took it up, and the one thing she was always going to do was finish like a train, and that's exactly what she did at 50 to 1. 50 to 1. That's not outright, Sarah. That's to win the race. 50 to 1. Ocean Tesla wins by 3.5 lengths. And I have to tell you, I really like her. I really do.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, 525 isn't her trip. She'll want further, and she may well stay a trip in the time, but it was a fine display. But this was messy. Serene Rex got up the inside. He's very inexperienced, and you could see him edging off all the way down the back straight. He just wanted to be in the middle of the track, and as a result, Coulavaniatos held up, Barefoot and Fires held up, Ballymacsennan got no run, and some big names went out of the competition here. Like, you look at the three that went out: Groucho's Finn, Ballymacsennan and Coulavaniato. Ballymacsennan the 5 to 4 favourite, Coulavaniato the 6 to 4 favourite, and there was just nowhere for them to go. In the end, Ocean Tesla though found the gaps, and that's all important.
Yeah, and she obviously has track experience because she's only ever raced in Limerick. You know, she's been around there a good few times. That's obviously a massive key factor in that as well. Like, do you know what I mean? I know she won her the only race she won in Limerick before that was 29:04, and she had to come from behind. I think she came from last to first. Like, the comments are strong at the finish, led near the line. Do you know what I mean? That's literally what it was. And she went an absolute cracker, you know. But like, she won't be able to get away with that week after week, especially only doing 28.90. Like, she's going to have to improve as the weeks go by. Like,
but as it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, it's all about the early speedsters out front. They can't all get that run, and maybe something could pick its way through the pack, like an Ocean Tesla. You never know. She might just qualify one more week. You look at her card, and as you say, finished well, strong finish, ran on, challenge run in, led near line, finished well, and led 3 the other evening is the term. But I would say Tom was sort of facing some stick before entering her. You know, her times prior to running in the Kirby were 29:77, 29:35, 29:39, 29:26, 29:42, a 19:53 trial, and 29:04. Yes, coming from well off the pace to win on the 16th of March. And I'd say that was what secured her a place, given the fact that she won an A4, A5 that night into the Kirby. And here we are. She's third behind Swords Hero in the opening round, clocking 28:67. And the other night, coming from off the pace, and while yes, she got a clear enough passage, she still had to mind her stride in a few occasions. 28:90, there's definitely a 28:50 in her. It's just a case, sure. and certainly there is now, because she's going to be dragged around by the really fast ones going forward. Who's to say she can't qualify again? We'll have to bring Tom Fitz on some week if she does get through.
We will. He'll love it. I wonder what the trio was for that. 50 to 1, 8 to 1, 4 to 1. It would have been massive. I doubt, like, you know what I mean? You would have had the odd person there to go down to the bookies and just having their fiver on 50 to 1 for the crack. Like, you'd love to hear actually how many people stuck in a fiver on her. But yeah, look, as you say, you never know. She could plug through the weeks, and it'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Because I think all finals need a storyline, and everyone has an outsider. And it's the story that comes with it. Like, imagine you got to the final. Oh, well, you know, I just threw her in the Kirby just because there was nothing else on, really, and I just wanted her to. Do you know what I mean? Now I'm in the final, so yeah, could be one of those stories.
I'm trying to find the trio.
Oh, you can get it on Bark and Buzz.
Can you? Found the trio. I hope Tom got it. I really do hope Tom got it. The win paid €22.70, so the bookmakers were just topping it there. The trio paid €626.
Christ on it, like, oh my God.
Tom, if you didn't get the trio, shame on you. Oh, Dawn is after sending us a message.
Oh, yes.
Corona won it. Corona Ryan got the trio.
Very good. That's brilliant.
Tom didn't back it. Oh my gosh. Tom, hang your head in shame. Well done, Corona. Drinks on you, Corona. Sarah, it's a cracking Kirby. Obviously, we lost some very, very big names on Saturday night, but we look forward to 4 wonderful quarterfinals. No room for error. We won't get too much time to talk about them now, but going forward, is there one that stands out for you? Are you looking at value prices, or are you looking just purely in terms of form?
Just because of the nature of the competition and inexperience and stuff like that, you just have to go by. As in saying that, though, you're made a liar of, because Ballymacdannock, if you asked me that question last week, I would have been like, oh yeah, like, I wouldn't be punting anyone else but her, and then she gets knocked out. If you were to ask me to have an anti-post bet now, I'd go with our Cracker. That's who I'd Cracker. Yeah, 12 to 1. Maybe something at a bigger price. I don't know. It's too hardy.
Yeah, it's very
maybe Coulavani Poppy. I don't even know if she's too big of a price. Actually, let me check. She's 25 to 1.
She's 25 to 1. Yeah, and I can see.
I've seen her in Newbridge, and she was epic. I know it's bitches against bitches; it's different. But I
Yeah.
think there's a big run in her in the Kirby. So maybe a 25-1, that would be my value one each way.
Yeah, currently the top of the market with Boyle Sports is 6-1, each of 3. Droopy's Metaphor, Epic Chick to Bull, Falcon 8-1, Fate Point Sean, Romeo Kingpin, Ballymac Patriot 10, Radical Harry and 12 Bar. The Stone Park King at 12 just doesn't sit quite right with me, considering some of the dogs that are in front of him. You know, I'd certainly be backing him to beat most of them.
You think he's overpriced then? It could be just
I
their
just
outright
thought, well,
position. Like,
overpriced in comparison. Like, to
yeah.
be honest, from what we've seen in the previous round, you could go 10-1 the field. You know, the favourite
Mm.
could well get knocked out again next week. You know, it hasn't
Yeah.
been happy hunting around for favourites thus far. So, you know, it's a competition where you should tread carefully. Of course, you should always tread carefully, bet responsibly, and all of that. But no, a great Kirby Memorial to look forward to. Sarah, you were down at Cork on Saturday night for the semi-finals of the Cork Oaks?
It was the final of the Cork Oaks
Final
and
of the
the
Cork
opening
Oaks.
round of the Greyhound and Pet World Super
yes,
Sprint. So it was a
yes.
fantastic night.
Cork Oaks went to Droopy's one stop.
Yeah.
She was 4-1. They never send her off at 4-1 in Cork. They always keep her short. And just after having that couple of defeats and the fact that Unmatched was the odds-on favourite, didn't happen for Unmatched. She didn't get home. Droopy's one stop certainly does. That's all she does. She'll stay much further.
Yeah, it was a brilliant race. Because they had that tight finish. I was on the stand, I was recording it, and the whole place erupted, and it was brilliant because when you see an Unmatched in front, you just game over. Like, do you know what I mean? And I actually tipped her to win it as well, and I was going happy days. But Droopy's one stop was brilliant for Johnny Linehan, and we brought her into the bar afterwards, which was brilliant. He wanted to meet his father Anthony, who was sitting at the bar, and the bitch, not an absolute bother on her. She went in, there was loads of people around, loads of coming up to pet her and kiss her, and there wasn't a bother on her. She's well used to the noise and the crowds and everything like that. And it was brilliant to see. I'd put it up on social media, like, because just to show, like, you know what I mean? Like, Anthony was absolutely thrilled. Everyone was coming up, shaking his hand. Johnny was, they were all there. The trophy was there. We were going to have a laugh with it and fill it with Guinness. And do you know what I mean? It's just making memories. And that's what it's all about, Ian. She ran an absolute brilliant race. It was 7,000 to the winner.
At halfway, she's last.
And yeah, oh no, she made up an unreal amount of
She's about 7 lengths off the pace at that stage. You know, it just goes to show how strong she is. Now, you used the term earlier on, like, she's weaving through the pack. It was clever, it was powerful. She's such a talented lady. She always looked at her run in defeat in the opening round of the Juvenile Classic last year was absolutely unbelievable. She was second, beaten 4 lengths by Ballymac Walton. It hasn't always happened for her. She has 28-15 at Shelbourne Park. She has a few big runs, but for her talent, she hasn't won as much as you would have assumed. But it's great to see her getting over the line in a big competition like this.
It is. She deserves it. Like, and she's won down in Cork over further. She's done 31.02 for the 5.75. And when you look back in that form, you're thinking, yeah, you know, you're not surprised that she won it, but I am surprised at how far she came from. And the ground that she made up, and she was just dominant. She just wanted to win. She had that. Fate Point Susie as well on a length and a half in second, ran an excellent race. But no, fair play to Johnny Linehan. His dogs are running really, really well at the moment.
He had the fastest heat winner in the super sprint as well, with Droopy Zelda making all in 17:52. She's a daughter of Pastana, Droopy's dance. She's not October 21. She has a bit of racing on her card, but new to the sprinting game, and by all signs, it could be her game going forward.
Yeah, and the super sprint was brilliant. Obviously I was excited. Well, everyone was excited to see Flash and Willow coming back. Didn't happen for him. Ran brilliant, but something happened to him coming off the second, and he just got out of his stride or something. And in the sprint, you know yourself, Ian, you blink and you miss it. Like, you can't make mistakes and stuff like that. And Burgess Jack won it, but Droopy Zelda was excellent. 17:52 was absolutely moving down there. 2.5 lengths winner as well. And Road Exile ran a very good race. No surprise.
Top sprinter, top sprinter, Road Exile.
Yeah, and he's so versatile. Like, you know, when he won the Kirby or the Kingdom Derby, like, the down in Tralee, it's the perfect 5.25 for him, because it's sort of a short 5.25, if you know what I mean. Like, and he doesn't obviously stay all that well, but he's so versatile. Stepping back in trip now to the 3:30, he picked up. He didn't absolutely fly out, but his pace when he hits the ground, like, he led from the second. He was really, really strong to win by 6.5 lengths. He's just a super greyhound. I absolutely love him. As soon as I seen her away, and Emma, I went straight over to him to give him a pet. Like, I love Road Exile. All the pictures I have on my phone are of Pat Buckley's dogs, and because they're really approachable. Like when they're weighing in their dogs and stuff, they've no problem with you coming over to them and taking pictures and stuff, because they're just very approachable people, and it's lovely because it gives you more content and stuff to show people at home. But yeah, I'm one of those annoying people now at the dogs. People are nearly avoiding me. They're like, oh, there she is with her camera again. I'm like, any chance of an interview, any chance of a picture? But we love it. That's what we, you know what I mean? People at home, and they want to see the content and stuff like that. But a brilliant night down in Cork. I always enjoy it when I go down there, Ian, and a brilliant winner in Droopy's one stop. And I might go down for the super sprint final as well. It's a cracking competition with €5,000 to the winner. It's really, really good.
Yeah, the super sprint continues at the weekend. Obviously, plenty of action still to come in that. It's always a great competition, the super sprint down in Kirby Park, long back straight. It really suits the dogs going into that opening corner, the sprinters. I want to mention the Michael Fortune, the future champion Michael Fortune Memorial, unraced, was on Enniscorthy on Sunday evening. Two good wee heat winners, Fiery Mick, who is closely related to Thorn Falcon, who of course was bought out of this competition a few years ago before going on to win the English Derby. He was a good winner of the opening heat by a neck from Annual Presto, who has stepped up considerably on his first two runs. It looked likely to happen. He's a well-bred son of Kinloch Bray and Slippery Thelma. I thought he ran well in defeat, but Fiery Mick, the son of Lenson Bocco, a very good winner, and he's a fast greyhound to look forward to for Joe Devlin. And the other heat was won by Ballymac Gizmo, who's very much the talking dog in the competition. It nearly went very wrong for him. He led around the opening bend, but sort of got clipped off the second bend, lost 3 or 4 lengths, was shuffled back to second spot behind It's All About Ted, who of course is a full younger brother to Balnabola Ed. But Ballymac Gizmo came storming through again to win by a length in 29.16. He's 20 spots slower than Fiery Mick, but he's already posted 28.61 around there in the opening round. He'll be very hard to beat in the final, but it's a cracking competition yet again. The future champion and Michael Fortune Memorial unraced. So it's full flow. It's full flow in Ireland. We have the Easter Cup final on Saturday night. Sarah, just briefly, what do you fancy in the Easter Cup on Saturday night?
Oh God, I'm going to have to go with Clonard Duke, because I feel I was disappointed with myself for not tipping him on Saturday night. Undulation I tipped, who ran a cracker race, by the way. I was watching it down in Cork. I really do like Clonard Duke. I've always loved him, and I'm gonna stick with him. They call him Dano at home. I've loads of pictures of him on my phone as well. Clonard Duke. I'm gonna stick with him in. It's an absolutely brilliant final. Yep. It really, really is. And I thought Glengar Martha was brilliant as well. Boyle Sports Bob coming from behind, Droopy's Fidget, Undulation and Clonbrine Treaty. They're your finalists, but I'm going to go Clonard Duke.
We were saying it there earlier on to Dr. Simon. You look at the two semi-finals and the way they were both run, it's hard not to say the best 6 dogs went through. And as a result, we have an absolutely belting final. Clonard Duke is the even money favourite, but given the fact that he's even money, it means that there's some really talented greyhounds at bigger prices. And it's hard to believe the likes of Clonbrine Treaty's 8-1, Boyle Sports Bob at 10-1. Crazy prices when you think about their immense talent. We have the Kirby Memorial, of course, continuing at Limerick on Saturday night. We'll also have the Super Sprint and the Michael Fortune, the future champion Michael Fortune Memorial unraced stake at Enniscorthy. Loads happening around the country. And of course, the Puppy Oaks gets underway at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. €10,000 to the winner this year. Wonderful, wonderful prize and offer. So some great racing to come in the weeks ahead. That's it from us, though, on this Monday morning. Of course, Dr. Simon has already left us, but a great guest this morning. My thanks again to the Cheshire Cat, Sarah Kinsella, who will be donning her Dublin jersey at the weekend for the Dylan Quirk Foundation jersey at the Dogs. If you want any more information on that, check out our social media channels. I'm sure Sarah will be posting about it. I know all the team will post about it, be on the various Facebook and X pages. So make sure you get involved in that. Wear your jerseys to the Dogs and show your support for this wonderful, wonderful foundation. That's it, though, from us on this Tuesday evening for Talking Dogs on a Monday. On a Tuesday. Good luck, good evening, God bless.